Hello everyone, this is Mohammed from Python Ninja YouTube channel, and today we will practice more together while loop in Python. And we have a new application today that coming from banking and from financial sector, which is the compound of interest estimation. This compound of interest is considered the amount of money that is added when you borrow money from the bank. So let's dive in the code together. The compound of interest again is the amount of the monetary charge for the privilege of borrowing money. In case of you deposit this money, the interest will be reduced. This is like useful application for people who work or for individuals who work in banking or financial sector to practice Python with this tutorial, and it's like very easy to implement. Well, the bankers and individual who work in a bank and like loan and people are charged to identify the interest of borrowing money, identify an equation. For you, you don't need to save this equation in your mind, and you don't need to remember this. And this is given for you. And the formula to compute the compound of interest is given as A, which refers to the final amount, okay. P is the initial principal balance, and R is the interest rate that's applied. This depends on the banker or the bank employees who can identify which rate is applied, and the number of times interest applied per time period, and this is like by default it is given to be 100, and it depends on the policy in the bank how many times this n is applied, and finally t is the number of the time periods, and usually in years. So what is asked from us as a developer or one who want to build a script in Python to simulate or estimate the final amount of the compound of interest is to use this equation. So we can notice that the principal amount is unknown, and we have the rate is also unknown, and t is the time period which is unknown, and for n it is given to be 100. So let us initiate a three variable p and give it 0, since this is the initialization, and I want to initiate also r, which is the rate is equal 0, and I want to identify another variable for the time which it will be 0, and will be 100. Okay, this is like basic equation estimation, and we have the three unknowns, and we want the user or the bank employee or the individual who is in charge in playing around this script to set or to enter these three unknown variables. For that, because we want the banker to set this, we will ask him to or her to input this using input in Python or input function in Python, but we want to incorporate also while loop. To incorporate while loop in this regard, I want to say, for example, okay, while this balance, okay, the initial balance is sorry, while the initial balance is equal to 0, or if it like in minus or less than 0, I want to ask the banker to submit or to input this initial amount. Okay, so it will be like this when using while loop. While p less than or equal, it is used like this. You cannot use like equal or less. Okay, so it usually start with this or equal what or less what, 0. Okay, then what I will do, okay, now p is 0, and if it is 0 or less than 0, I want the banker, okay, to update this value p by like floating input, okay, the input that will be cast to float, and I want to ask him to enter the initial amount. Okay, It will be like this. Then, okay, suppose that the banker set this amount to 0. So if P is equal 0, okay, and we have to use double equal, non-equal in this comparison. What I have to do is to show a message to him that this balance cannot be 0. Okay, this initial balance cannot be 0. I can show that to him by using a print message. Okay, the initial for example, the principal amount cannot be 0 or less. Okay, like this. Let us practice this together. I want to run the code. I usually run the code by using the keyboard command Shift plus F10, or you can simply press in the button that run the code. This is just to remind you in case of you forget. Now the code go like this. While b less than 0 and it is less or equal and it is equal to 0, then input command will be executed and it comes here. Okay, then it stop. It will stop until I enter the value. After entering the value, this will be matched with 0. If this, okay, p will equal 0, which I do here, then an error message will come. Let's try. Yeah, there is an error message. And so this will go for an infinite execution because nothing will interrupt this execution. For example, if I will enter minus, it will be the same. And if I input like any amount that is greater than 0, it will stop execution. And that's what we want because p now is equal 10. Okay, this is for a principal amount or initial principal amount. We can do that for the rate. Okay, we need that for to update the value of the rate. Okay, which one? We can simply do copy paste, and while, for example, r is less than 0, I want to ask the user to enter not the initial amount, to enter the rate. Okay, and if rate equals 0, then the rate here, okay, for example, rate, okay, cannot be less than 0. Let's try. I entered, for example, the initial amount 10. Then it go here. It get out from this while loop, and it goes inside another while loop. And because I want to enter a rate which is equal to 0, then it will ask again that the rate it cannot be less than 0. So I want to enter also 5. Then now we finish this. Okay, no, it will be this. Okay, it should be execute now. Okay, this rate, let's check that now. Oh, sorry, this is from the mistake we can learn, guys. Here it's still b, so I have to change this to r, and then I run execution again. And yeah, here I have 10 for B and I have 5 for R, and let's go. So sorry, P was located because I did copy and paste, and please pay attention for this. Now we can do the same thing. So let us to say this like the initial amount. Okay, sorry, why? This is the initial amount. And here we have the rate, and yeah, we have the rate, and lastly we will have also the time. We will have the time, and we can copy and paste simply like this. Okay, and instead of r we have the variable t, and this variable t will go here t, and if t, okay, and enter the, for example, time period, and I can say here the time cannot be less than 0. Here we have 10, we have 5, we have 3, and we managed to to enforce the banker or the person in charge or the individual in charge to enter this value as input from external source. And now we want to do our estimation. How can I do the estimation? This estimation is done based on this equation. Okay, so let us compute this equation. Sorry, and this is the, for example, let us to say A, which will equal P or P I used here, P, okay, then I will open a round bracket, but before the round bracket, because all of this amount is with power of t, so I will multiply this with an internal function of power, okay, for the one plus rate, okay, it's not rate, it's r over 100, okay, and this is the first part of the power function. The power function takes two steps, okay, takes two arguments. The first argument is this, okay, and the second argument is where the power is, which to the power of time. So not time, sorry, it's the power of t, okay, because I use this acronym. And if we review this function, we have p here, and then we have the round bracket of this amount, and this to power of t. I use the power function, and this is t as it's entered here, and this is the reminder of the function. Because I have n over 100, I can use n instead of 100. Let us try to see, and finally I want to print, okay, for example, the final principal amount is, which will be this one, which will be a, no, it's not the principal amount, the final compound. Let us, because I'm not a banker, this is the formula to calculate the compound of interest, okay, the compound of interest, oh sorry, it is interest, okay, and this is compound. It's like how I split compound. Let us to copy this as this, okay, I don't know this definition in financial sector, and this is like something is compound on each other. Let us execute the code, okay, and I have the initial value of 10, I have the rate, for example, 2. I don't know how they can pass this, but I can model and simulate this using Python, and I want to use the time period for 3 years. Then the compound of interest will be this value, but we learn together how can use round function to make this number more useful, and we will combine this for 3 floating point. This is 10, this is 3, this is for example 3 years, and yeah, this is the compound of interest that we have to pay after 10 if we start with initial balance of 10. Guys, that's for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed while loop. We still have one simple exercise that will be introduced in a separate tutorial, and that's for today. See you next tutorial.